Hello everyone, this is Palladian Star Healer and welcome to today's Tarot Tales. So today's Tarot Tales is the Wheel of Fortune. So we're going to be talking about this man right here in this card. So there was a man named Jake. He was a soldier in the US Army. But he was discharged due to extreme trauma, suffering from PTSD. So he left the army, he went back home, and we're talking about a man, who was kind, sensitive, very open, affectionate. And when he returned home, his family immediately knew that the Jake that left did not return. So months went by and he was really struggling. He couldn't keep a job. He had issues, with keeping employment. He would jump from job to job. He would either quit or be fired. There was fighting in the house, between him and his wife. Just his life went completely downward. And it came to a point where he was also starting to drink, do drugs, because his PTSD was so extreme, so complex that he didn't know, nothing he did worked. He tried breathing it out and he just couldn't find no way to really cope with the trauma that he had experienced while he was on tour. So a year after, just the boiling pot of the household just exploded. The wife couldn't take it no more. She tried to get help. She would plead with him to get help, but he was just so locked up in his trauma and his path of pain that he wouldn't listen, and he just engaged in heavily drinking and drugs and just became violent with his outbursts. Just seemed like he was just trapped constantly in his times of being active duty in war. So one day he returned home from work and he realized that the house was empty. His wife packed up everything and she left. She just couldn't take it no more, which even added more to his problems and his trauma. So, months have passed by. He was really struggling. He couldn't keep a job and he just gave up. And then Jake found himself homeless on the street, using drugs, asking for money, and just wandering the streets with no place to go. He had lost everything. And so one day he was just there, just walking about in the city of Los Angeles, and he saw that there was a female whose car had broken down. And in the army, that was one of his specialties. He was a mechanic. He knew how. And even as a hobby, there was something that before his trauma, before everything, it was something that he was really passionate about. He loved working on cars and just any type of machinery. He was a very intelligent man. So he helped the woman, and at first she was apprehensive because the way he looked, and he had just this awful smell, because there was just no self-care, so he smelled awful, and she was taken aback, by his appearance and why he was approaching her, especially in the city of Los Angeles. But there was something about him that she just felt like he wasn't coming for problems, and it was just different. So she was like, she thought he was coming to ask for money, so she went to hand him change, and he was like, no, like, I see you have a problem and I can help you if you have any tools that I can work with, or and she actually had, because her father owned his own car shop, and she had called for someone to come and help her, pick her up and tow the car to her father's shop. And she, how long those things take, like they seem to never come. And so she was like, actually, I do, yes. So she gave him the tools, and he was actually able to tighten it because it seemed like one of the wire hose had came out. It was loose. So he fixed it, and she was impressed because she was like, how is it that he's able to do this? And he's in the street, he looks like a bum, a homeless person. And so she started talking to him while she was waiting for someone to come and pick her up. And he started to give her a little backstory about where he was from, what he used to do, and that it was something that he always been passionate about. He's just been having like really terrible luck lately for the past year or so. And so, she handed him her dad's business card, and she told him that her father owned a car shop. And so she was like, why don't you come, soon, and stop by. I want my father to meet the man that helped me, at this time of trouble. And so he took it, and he wasn't too sure about it. He was like, should I go, and at first he was reluctant, because he was like, no, because how can I go like this, and it just looked awful, but then he just felt, why not, he always loved cars. So he went by the nearest gas station. He took whatever kind of bath that he can actually, get. There was, in the city of Los Angeles, there was like these dumpsters where they were like thrift store dumpsters where people can put in like used clothes and things. And he searched through many dumpsters trying to put together like some type of wardrobe, some type of suit, So he did find, and so like his hair, and he had a huge beard, and he was like, what can I do about my face and my hair? And he remembered that his wife had a friend who was a beautician, and he wondered maybe she was willing to give him, a touch up, but he wasn't too sure, because he just felt like everyone was hard on him, judged him, because of everything that happened between him and his wife. But he said, what, let me try anyway. So he went, and she was willing to give him, and she was like, yeah, of course, I'll fix you up, and because everyone knew that before him leaving, Jake was a kind man, a very open, emotional man, passionate man, and everyone still remember the man he used to be, so she fixed him up and everything. And so he was like, what, like, she was like, is there any reason why you want to get fixed? And he was like, well, I just plan on stopping by some place, just to see, like, just to be, I don't know. He just didn't even know what to say, But she was like, it's no problem, I'll do it. It's my pleasure to actually, shave you and, fix your hair. So after that, he stopped by the mechanic shop. And then when he got there, he realized that the owner of the shop was actually one of his military buddies that used to be on tour with him. And he couldn't believe it. He was like, how crazy is this, So the guy was like, they catched up and asked him what happened and how was his life after being discharged and stuff. And he really saw that his friend Jake was really going through it, so he offered him to work for him. He said, let me help you, there'll be no pressure, you can just take your time to get on your feet, but you can come and help me, and I'll pay you, and so Jake started working there, and just one thing led to another. He started working there, he started getting income. He was able to actually get his own apartment. His military buddy actually was able to convince him to seek help in getting treatment for his PTSD, because Jake was able to feel like someone really understood him, because his friend also was active duty. He understood the issues and conflicts of war and what it does to a person, so he felt more safe and saying, maybe he's right, because his friend actually was also seeking counseling, and even though he wasn't as severe as Jake, but he was still going. And so Jake felt inspired and said, if he can go and get help, and look at the business, he's with his family and has a happy family and home and successful business. Why can't I? You know, so Jake found himself in a new position doing something he really loved and was able to live a normal life, or at least a happy and healthy life, and he was actually able to get his family back. So the lesson of today's card, the Wheel of Fortune, it tells us that our fate can change. That sometimes there are moments, you know, life has an ebb and flow of situations, you know, and one moment we can be down, and just like that, our whole life can change instantaneously. And it's just being able to actually take those necessary steps to move forward, you know. And these are one of the life lessons, because this card, the Wheel of Fortune, is the major arcana, and these are life lessons. These are things that teach us about ourselves and the experiences that we have made for ourselves before we came, you know, into this life. So that is today's tarot tale. I hope you enjoyed today's story. And if you feel you have a story that you can relate to with the Wheel of Fortune, please feel free and comfortable and safe to share it down in the description box. And if you enjoyed this tarot tale, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Or you can join me on my other social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram at Palladian Star Healer. And so I wish you guys a ton of blessings. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope that you guys can live the life that you truly were meant to live.